Let's return to one of our top stories at this hour. A little early on, a settlement agreement has been reached between trade union Solidarity and government. This was on the Employment Equity Act. Solidarity, of course, launched a dispute against the Department of Employment and Labour and the Minister with the International Labour Organization. Amongst others, of course, disputing the constitutionality of South Africa's new BEE and transformation laws. We saw that the Commission for Conciliation, Mediation and Arbitration facilitated the dispute and is this afternoon overseeing the agreement's signing ceremony. Now, Katlego Legodi is on the story, joins us live from Pretoria. Good afternoon, Katlego. Lots happening on your end as we speak. Perhaps you can give us an update as to the signing of the agreement. How's that ceremony unfolding at this point?
A very good afternoon to you, Liesl, and to our viewers at home. This session here has been described as a momentous occasion for both of the parties that approached the CCMA for facilitation in this regard. You know very well that since April, there's been this issue around the Employment Equity Act and how then those processes have seen challenges and resistance from some organizations, political parties, and trade unions. So this saw Solidarity approaching the International Labour Organization, this on the 111 Convention to ensure that at least there's intervention in this regard where the parties or South Africa's responsibility around international law is concerned. So the International Labour Organization just referring the matter to the CCMA. So this process has been sitting, Liesl, since January, and here we are seeing the parties finding each other through the facilitation of the CCMA, and we're hearing that this of course brings to an end that dispute between government and Solidarity where this Employment Act is concerned. Of course, most of them were around issues of races, and to say that really there should be some sort of balance and a nuanced approach where this issue of the Employment Equity Act is concerned. I'm going to bring into the conversation now the Minister of Employment and Labour, Thula Singesi. He formed part of those that signed the agreement here this afternoon, just looking at least putting to an end this dispute with Solidarity. Maybe just start, Minister, by confirming with our viewers at home if indeed this milestone has been reached and this matter between government and Solidarity has been put to bed. Welcome to the SABC.
Thank you. Indeed, we have signed an agreement which is a groundbreaking agreement. But it's very important that we go back to the origin of this. This is a matter which had been referred to the ILO. It was referred by Solidarity Trade Union. It is out of those discussions at an international level that is what referred back to the CCMA, or to use CCMA to facilitate the discussions. So that's what has happened. And it's even before the regulations which we're talking about. It was lodged some time back, and where we are now, we've been able to put our heads together and came up with an agreement, the nuances, the explanations, and so on. And that agreement is going to form part of our documents.
Let us in then, and the viewers at home, what is this agreement all about? What is pertained in the agreement here? Because we saw a lot of resistance from Solidarity and other political parties around the Employment Equity Act. Does this put this matter to bed? What is it that you guys as the parties have agreed upon going forward?
The issue raised by Solidarity was the issue of race, where they felt very strongly that in terms of the employment equity, the race or the white people were being discriminated. That was a very strong point which they were raising. And out of those discussions, we've been able to explain to them what we're talking about. We've been able to explain that employment equity affects those who were disadvantaged before. But it doesn't mean that the white people are going to be removed in order to create space for the disadvantaged groups. No, that would be illegal. We've been able, therefore, to go through all those clarifications and even emphasized that whatever is going to be implemented in terms of these regulations and that act must be in line with the Constitution, because our own Constitution doesn't agree with discrimination.
So let us in on where to from here, because we know very well that Solidarity was not the only party or the only organization that took issue with this Employment Equity Act. We have the Democratic Alliance and other unions that even threatened to take government to court where this is concerned. Does this signing here put to bed this matter, or really this is just an issue between government on Solidarity alone, as we're looking forward to the deadline, which then would be in September and October around there?
I think we have heard from the spokesperson of Solidarity Trade Union, that at the level of the ILO, and I think this has been confirmed also by the director of the ILO in the region, Dr. Maswayan, that now the case will be closed at the level of the ILO once we've written the letters, both of us confirming that we've resolved the dispute. All other processes are not dependent on this particular agreement. It is up to the different parties to see what they are going to do. By the way, we are not here representatives of political parties. They are doing their own independent whatever issues. So here it is the Solidarity Trade Union and the Department of Labor about the issues of labor. As to what happens to the court case, the court case had been lodged by Trade Union Solidarity. We will leave it to them.
All right, Minister Nxesi, thank you very much, sir, for your time this afternoon, coming through as the Minister of Employment and Labour, just explaining this milestone that we're hearing that has been reached between Solidarity and government. But just to note there, Lizzle, that this is not the end of this process. Of course, this was a draft regulation around the Employment Equity Act. We're looking at September and October, that being the deadline here, where this process, then, the public participation process and what came out of Solidarity and the ILO, all of this will be collaborated, and they'll be taken. Those issues will then be taken to the president, who will then sign this Employment Equity Act into law. We're looking at this happening around September, October. Lizzle?
Katlego, thank you for that update. Katlego Legodi live in Pretoria again on the back of the CCMA, really facilitating the dispute. This afternoon we saw the overseeing of the agreement being signed. This as the settlement agreement had been reached between the Trade Union Solidarity and, of course, government over the Employment Equity Act.